So as a few people might still be joining, but I think I'll just get started and just briefly introduce you to what we're going to be doing today. And yeah, please, it'll be great if you can also still introduce yourself in the chat. I'm not going to do a round now because that will be too many people. But it's really awesome to have you all here, and really hope that this call will be full of inspiration and not just inspiration, but inspiration to take action. And this call will be recorded for other people who will want to learn more about our campaigns later on. And just to give you a little bit of framing, so Solution Dating is the sort of call, the name of this call, and the idea is it's like a fun way of saying like a speed dating, but this is more about quickly getting to know some high impact campaigns and making matches between students or people who are interested to join or replicate high impact campaigns in their countries, in their organizations. So as part of SOS International, Students Organizing for Sustainability International, we have some really awesome national or international organizations who are members of SOS, and they're delivering some high impact campaigns and programs. And they'll be presenting some of those programs to you today, and you'll get the chance to ask some questions and basically learn all you need to know to take action and either join those campaigns or replicate them in your country. So each of the organizations will have 20 minutes in total. So that will be around 5 minutes for presenting. So we ask them to keep it short and to the point, and then give some space for your questions, which you're warmly welcome to post into the chat already while people are presenting or at the end. Try not to make the chat too busy otherwise. So please keep the focus in the chat on the questions. And then we'll have some Q&A and matchmaking to better understand how you can work together with presenting organizations and their campaigns. And at the end of each campaign, I would like to invite you to clarify what can be a commitment, what can be a decision, an action you can take to actually either join that campaign or help it become more visible. Yeah. So that's pretty much the outline. I would say we get started then with climate student movement. So let's see who's here from that. Yes, Saskia, are you there? Oh no, it's not Saskia. So,
yeah.
No. Seems we actually don't have anybody from the climate students movement. Maybe they're coming a bit later. So in that case, yeah, why don't we start with the Change the Chamber campaign? And everybody else would be great to see you as well. So if you would like to open up your videos, it would be great to see who's actually here.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Nina from Change the Chamber. I'll be presenting about our campaign along with Shen, who's also from our campaign. So I'll just get right into our Google Slides presentation. I'll share my screen. Okay, hopefully you all can see that. So yeah, my name is Nina Jacobs. I'm joined with Shen, and we'll just be presenting on Change the Chamber and how you can get involved with our campaign. So many of you are probably wondering, what is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce? It is the largest and most funded industry lobbying group in the U.S. It spent $1.5 billion in lobbying over the past 21 years, which is more than any other lobbying organization in our country's capital by a factor of 3. The chamber is large and opaque, which means it doesn't disclose its membership or its donations, so we're not sure where all the money is coming from. It has some support for climate policy, but it is a pro-fossil fuel group, so fossil fuel definitely skews its climate policy stance. And it's not a government agency just because it says US before. It's not regulated like a government agency would be.
This page I will talk about our demands. First, we need to pressure the members. Members need to pressure the U.S. Chamber to actively support the science-based climate legislation or leave the association. And second, we want them to support the science-backed climate policy. We need to get the U.S. Chamber and other trade associations to stop obstructing and start supporting good and equitable climate legislation. And third, we want them to back Biden's climate smart recovery. They need to vocally and publicly support President Biden's climate-centric recovery plans for the economy, jobs, energy, and infrastructures. And fourth, we want them to defund climate deniers. They all need to cease all fundings to politicians who block science-based climate policy and deny the reality of the climate crisis. And the next slide.
So what do we do at Change the Chamber? Well, we prioritize raising awareness and engagement among students and young people about the Chamber's climate policy obstruction. We do that through mostly our weekly social media storms, which you can find on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We also do direct action campaigns as well as independent research. And we are also in direct communication with senior executives at member organizations to support pressuring the chamber from within. We do a lot of talk with international companies, so you might recognize some of these like Disney, 3M, Delta, FedEx, and many more. We discuss hypocritical stances about the chamber, and we definitely speak with our money. We make sure we're very explicit when we say we're not going to support companies that don't pressure the chamber or have false advertisement about their climate stances. And we really want to increase the involvement of these companies with the chamber to put pressure on them to actively lobby for climate instead of against it. So why is this important and relevant to SOS and all of you? We definitely want the US to meet the Paris Accord goals. In 2021, the US rejoined the Paris Agreement, and continued obstruction by the chamber will leave us further from where the US needs to be. Again, like I mentioned before, we work a lot with multinational corporations. The chamber is made up with a bunch of companies that you'll recognize the logos of. So the stronger our international coalition is, the more likely the US chamber will bend to pressure. And that creates a clear path forward for us all. If we successfully change the chamber, we remove one of the biggest and best funded barriers to climate progress.
Yeah, and this page, I will talk about what we have already accomplished. And first, we contributed to the chamber's shift to supporting a market-based price on carbon emission and supporting the United States rejoining the Paris Agreement and the nationally determined contribution. And second, we have already had more than 109 million reached across social media. And the third, we have 62 member companies targeted and contacted. And first, we reinvigorated chamber members' climate solutions working group and persuaded corporations to join. And fifth, we have multiple media hits, including mainstream news organizations like Yahoo News and USA Today. And last, we launched the national and international green jobs initiatives. And next slide, please. And this page, I will talk about who we build power with. First, we connect and collaborated with college environmental groups. And the second, we contact the youth climate activists. And third, we communicated with some organizations. And fourth, we reach out to the influencers and the leaders, including climate-friendly policymakers at the federal level and the areas of business, academia, industry, bloggers, podcasts, celebrities, and brands. So we basically do the youth outreach. And so next slide, please.
So what's next for our campaign? Well, we are laser focused on the chamber's obstruction to climate action. We're continuing our conversation with member corporations on how they can improve their stance on climate change and work from within to change the chamber. We're monitoring and fact-checking the current administration's stance and policies regarding the climate crisis. And as always, we're expanding and improving our methods of info sharing, including blogs and weekly newsletters. So the most important thing is, what can you do? And definitely the most important thing is that you can go to our social media accounts and like and repost and share our content. If you click on this link, which I will share after the presentation, this link will take you to all of our social media pages. So it's definitely handy, and it's like a one-stop shop. If you are from a student group on a campus, you can send us your logo and we will list you as a participating organization. And this is a great way to not only build up our coalition, but we can share your information with a much wider audience. So again, if you share your logo with us, we can not only put you on our website, but we can share your information in our newsletters and on our social media accounts. You can sign up for our weekly newsletter by visiting our website. And if you're an individual interested in getting more hands-on with our campaign and joining our core team, you can contact me for more information. And this is our website link, which again, I can share after the presentation, but this is where you'll find our press releases, our blog posts, our research reports. So it's definitely worth checking out. Thank you all for listening. And now will be our Q&A session.
All right, well, thanks so much for that straight to the point presentation. And yeah, you can unmute yourself if you like, if you prefer to speak, or write your question into the chat. The floor is all yours. And again, it would be great to see you if you want to turn on your videos.
Yeah, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if my camera's working, but anyways, yeah, thanks a lot for the presentation. Seems pretty cool. And of course, there are lots of American corporations, so I think it is quite important what you're doing. But what do you think is the most effective way to actually, yeah, challenge them and make them listen to their own hypocritical statements that they make?
That's a great question. I think since we're a youth coalition, social media is a great way to put pressure on them. Again, all these, not all of them, but a majority of member corporations are international. So if we build a really strong social media base, I think when we leave comments and we retweet and share a message about the chamber's hypocritical stance, the chamber is more likely to listen if they see a much larger international coalition. That's why we prioritize social media with our organization. It's the greatest way to share information internationally and really build that base. So I would definitely say social media is a great way to place pressure. We also send letters directly to the companies. So we definitely do, outside work like social media, but we definitely focus a lot on internal communication with executives and environmental departments within the corporations. So that's why we definitely are in contact with chamber members, member organizations and companies, because they have a very strong voice within the chamber itself. Shen, I don't know if you wanted to add anything onto that.
No, I think it's okay.
Are there any other
Thanks.
questions in the room?
Great answer.
Maybe a question that sometimes comes up is the first image might be, okay, US Chamber of Commerce. It seems like maybe this is more like a America-specific, United States-specific campaign, but it obviously has a global relevance, right? So maybe you can just kind of re-emphasize sort of how is it relevant for students all across the world to be involved in this campaign.
Yeah, I mentioned a few companies earlier in the presentation, like Disney, 3M, Delta Airlines. These are all International corporations, you'll recognize a lot of the logos of these companies if you visit our website, where we have a ton of member corporations and their logos on our website. If you guys recognize these companies, then the Chamber is doing direct harm to climate policy that not only affects the US, but you as well. So you're a consumer of these brands, no matter where you are in the world, and you have a voice. You can use your voice on social media as well as your wallet. And that's definitely where these companies sort of start to freak out, is when the youth, who are most likely the largest consumer base, especially with brands like Disney, when they see that not only US youth are keeping money away from these companies, but also international youth, then they really start to pay attention. So that's why we definitely prioritize international outreach. Again, because these companies are international, and you as international youth, you have so much power. It's not just a US issue. If you guys use your voice and use your purse to really place pressure on these companies, then a lot of progress will be made.
Great, thanks for clarifying that again. Yeah, so we still have some more minutes. If anybody else wants to say, what did you find particularly inspiring about this campaign, or how can you imagine getting involved and spreading it?
Can I just say one other thing? I've just been listening, and it was such a great presentation. So I'm Debbie. I'm also part of this. I just want to say that we've also kicked off an international initiative on green jobs, green career pathways, sustainability jobs. And so we've got lots of resources on how to, help people to get those jobs. So just, that's another piece. And we've got like logos that come from international student groups. Like we got Pakistan and Nigeria, and I could list a bunch of countries. So we hope you'll all consider joining us. Send us your logo because it makes us more powerful in getting the corporations to change and getting better policy for all of us globally.
Amazing. So maybe you can just remember to post the Linktree link, or any other link that people can use to respond to your call to action. Just put that in the chat. Yes, thanks, Nina. All right. I mean, we could go on to the next presentation unless there's still some more questions or things that you wanted to still emphasize, Nina or Deborah.
They did a great job. I'm good.
I might have a question. Just, I mean, from my point of view, I'm trying to build my social media at the moment, and obviously you have a huge following. So how have you focused on building the social media?
That's a great question. I'm not super involved with our social media building, but I know it's taken a lot of effort. Just outreach, I would definitely say, is number one. And outreach, I mean, to student groups that are environmentally focused, who might not have heard about our campaign. We have a whole department that that's their priority, is outreach to other youth, again, who are climate interested in the environment movement, but they might not have heard of the US Chamber of Commerce or our campaign. So taking the time to do outreach, to communicate with youth, show them that this is a youth-led campaign and that young people should be interested in this. It's not like they might see business and think that it's not of their concern or it's something that adults are interested in, but no, we're the current consumers and future employees of these companies. So this is a great age to really get involved with this. So again, outreach to environmental groups, especially if they're youth-led or youth-focused, and then also amplifying other environmental groups. So using your social media accounts to uplift other organizations and environmental clubs, leaving comments, directly messaging them. These are all ways that we've found success over the last couple of years.
Thank you.
Awesome. Then, I think we can move on to the next presentation. So I would ask Merit from Studenten, voor Morgen to talk about your campaigns on how to include ranking of universities on sustainability performance.
Yes, thank you. I'll share my screen. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Marit. I'm from Studenten, voor Morgen. We're an organization that focuses on integrating sustainability more into higher education. And therefore we have several projects, and I'm going to highlight 2 of them for you today. The first one is a competition for introduction days committees. You must all know the fun week before uni starts, where people get fun activities to get to know the city and the new university. So within our project, they battle for the most sustainable introduction days. So we want to do this to raise more awareness amongst the new students that sustainability is a really important issue. So how do you start? So firstly, you decide on which participants you want to have. Do you want to go for the longer weeks, or do you also want to go for the shorter introduction days of a couple of days? And you see whether they are easy to reach and willing to participate. Therefore, after that, you're going to determine the prize money. We have a first, second, and a third place. And once you've got that all set up, you can start recruiting. Then after that, there's the ranking process. Of course, you create a questionnaire for that, decide on which topics you want to discuss, and you give it like a point distribution. I added a little picture of one of our questions, and you see like which things do we find more important? So where do we want to give the points? And then you find a way to collect the answers. So for example, filling out this form, but also having interviews with them to discuss is a really useful method for that. And what we always do is that we let them provide evidence. So for example, pictures of receipts or stuff like that. So they won't just say like, oh yeah, we're doing such sustainable things, but they're not really doing it. So this evidence thing is a really important aspect. So then after that, when you've got all the ranking done and the comparisons, you can provide some useful feedback so they can actually improve for the next year. And yeah, of course, announce the winners. And this can be done through, for example, an award show or a press release. And yeah, that's lots of fun. Then the second project is a little bit similar to this one, but then we rank the education institutions themselves based on their effort to be sustainable. So we think this is really important because the education institutions have such an exemplary role in society. So we really think it's so important that they express sustainability in all of their practices. And you start again by making a questionnaire. Again, go through the topics that you want to discuss, which topics are important. What we also do is that we find volunteers to rank for us because it's so much work, because we're looking at all the Dutch educational institutions, which are 33, and we rank them all based on 18 different topics. So we find volunteers to rank. And find a way to collect answers is also important. You can do this, for example, through a platform. That's what we do. We have a special site for it. And then the ranking process goes like this. The first round, the rankers like look up all the information they can find about the educational institutions and the topic that they're researching. And they, well, they give points like, okay, this was good, this was not so good. So then, for example, score 1 out of 10. And then the institutions get a chance to have a look at what the feedback was and what the scores were. So then they can like give extra evidence, like, no, we didn't agree with this, or we think we can do better. So then they can deliver extra evidence. And then in the second round, the rankers can, well, adjust their ranking based on extra evidence. So when that's all done, it's up to us as the board to write a benchmark report, which includes all the general findings, like, for example, what happened on general levels with energy levels in the educational institutions and stuff like that. And of course, again, announcing the winners, which is also, again, an award show and a press release. And especially for this project, we've really noticed that the educational institutions really want to score good. So they really are trying their best to get as high on the ranking as possible. So yeah, that's basically it from my side. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask. We have like the questionnaires, we have them ready for you, so we can send them to you if you would like to see what kind of questions we ask. But if you have any other questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, just a small question, because it's called also Studenten, voor Morgen, and it sounds really Dutch. Can you also join not being a Dutch person, or do you still then have a purpose? So does that also work?
Well, our organization is a network organization. So we have about 40 members, and all the members are connected to, for example, Dutch educational institutions. And they're also striving to make the institutions more sustainable, but also other student associations. But for now, we only have Dutch members. We're trying to expand a little bit to the Dutch Antilles, like Aruba and Curacao. But our network is not really fit to join, but you can replicate your or our projects in your own country. So I think that's more fit.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Thanks for being honest.
You're welcome.
You know, there's also something called the Sustainability Tracking and Rating System that ASHE does. ASHE is the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Ed. And so it's STARS, STARS.ASHE.org. I'll stick it in the chat. And they already have a whole, you know, self-assessment that colleges can do, and then they can get a silver or a gold, or I forget the different badges. So that might be a useful resource too.
Oh yeah, I think
this
that's
is
actually
great to see this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice to compare sometimes, because we're starting it up now again, the sustainable. And I got a question today about like, I don't know the English term, but when you give like a certain weight to certain questions. So for example, one question is heavier in weight than the other question in scoring. Yeah. And it's really nice to compare our weighings with like a different list and a different scoring. So yeah, I'm definitely going to have a look at that.
Yeah, and then they also, you can look at the universities that have self-reported. I think there's 800 from a bunch of different countries, but I forget how many countries.
Okay, interesting. Oh yeah, I've never heard of it, but I'm definitely going to have a look at it. Thanks.
And one thing that came up for me was like, if you're now listening to the call and you're maybe not part of a national student organization who could sort of replicate this campaign, maybe there is a national organization and you could reach out to them and say, hey, we heard about this really cool campaign, and make the connection so they get in touch with Studenten, voor Morgen.
Yeah, that's more than welcome. We definitely want to help you out if you have ambitions like that. And it always starts small, but you can always make it big.
Right. Are there any other questions?
Do you have any other new projects coming up, or anything you're thinking about doing, or also something that you tried but really failed or didn't kick off?
Yeah, we're actually doing a new project, and it's like about circular skills. So the skills we need to work with the circular economy. And one of our partners did some research about that, like which circular skills are lacking in our current education to prepare us for the future. And one of our projects is going to be that we're going to have a look at what students think of this, students of like all educational levels. And where we designed our own game, or not the board, but we had someone design a game for us about sustainability. So we're going to classes and play the game and see what comes from all the games played. So I'm really curious about those findings as well.
Sounds really cool, yeah.
I mean, I'm curious, like, how come that this student-led ranking is being taken so serious in the Netherlands, that universities actually care about their rankings? and that they don't give more attention to like Times Higher Ed ranking or something. Those which are maybe a bit more established, sort of on a global level.
I think because we made name, because we're not that small anymore. Like our organization is not extremely big, but everyone in the education world knows of the sustainable. I don't know exactly like how that happened, but yeah, it just happened over the years. I think the Netherlands is more and more focusing on sustainability nowadays, and it's a bit. Some people don't like it when I say it like that, but it's a bit of naming and shaming, and nobody wants to come like at the bottom of the list. So once you get some press releases out, the universities are like, oh, I don't want to be at the bottom. And some universities like Wageningen University, that's where I'm studying, is like really motivated and already without the sustainable. So they really advertise like, oh, we're ending so high and we're doing it so good. So that works for us as well.
I fully agree on the naming because I'm from the University of Groningen. I just finished there. And 2 years ago, we were at the bottom. And this year, suddenly they were third in some ranking and second in the Netherlands in some specific ranking. And it was literally everywhere. I mean, if you enter the university, you see a poster about it now. And now they're taking it way more seriously and they want to be number one. They want to be better than Wageningen now. So I think indeed, naming and shaming really works.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you think that it's particularly powerful because it is student-led, that universities are more kind of sensitive to the perspective of students?
I don't know if they're more like susceptible to it, but I do think we're more like hyped about it a little bit. I think the Dutch generation, like the older people don't really care too much. It's a bit of a generalization. Of course, there are people that care. But I think the young generation is really like, we're going to do something about this and we're going to make a change. So yeah, I think that's, because we're related to education as well. It wouldn't make sense if this was done by like adult people.
All right. Well, really cool. Are there any other questions? Anybody who says, wow, this is really awesome, I'm gonna take some steps to do this in my country or join the campaign or take some kind of action on it?
Yeah, I was actually thinking it might be an idea. I'm studying in the Netherlands as well, in Maastricht. And I was thinking, maybe, do you think it would be possible to also do this on a more smaller level, maybe throughout the faculties? To have like a inter-university competition, for example, with the law faculty and the business faculty. Do you think that could also work with a questionnaire?
Yeah, I think so. I think part of our questionnaire is not really fit for that because it's also having a lot to do with like mobility, so travel and expenses for energy and water use, stuff like that. But I think you can like get some inspiration from it and start with a bit smaller, like use of certain cups or food like that. So yeah, I could definitely send you the questionnaire and you can have a look at it.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. I think I'm just going to send you my email via chat.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll post my email in the chat.
Thank you.
By the way, I will send a follow-up email to everybody who registered to this call, so you'll get all the links and things that you're posting in the chat that you want to know about. You can have it in the email as well. Yeah, Nina said she would love the questionnaire. Are the questions public somewhere, or can you share them, Merit?
Yeah, I can share them. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Just checking. Are there any remaining questions for Merit? Any other actions people would like to take?
Well, is it a question to me or?
No, I'm just asking in the round if anybody feels like, okay, this is an action I could take to help replicate this campaign or this program. Maybe Merit, do you have any other suggestions on what actions people can take?
Well, it is because it's national projects. It's not very small actions that you really can take. If you want to take this on, it's going to be big. So I would like recommend find some people that you want to do this with and get started. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, then I would like to shift the focus now to our next campaign. So Saskia, I would like to invite you on to talk about the What Can I Do About It project.
Hello. First off, I want to say my Wi-Fi is terrible, so if it cuts out, let me know and I can change how I do the presentation. And also I'm going to try a new presentation style, so we'll see if this works. Thought I'd jazz it up a bit. Haha, is this working, Tim?
It looks like it, yeah. Nice.
Okay, so hello, I'm Saskia, and I just wanted to quickly introduce you. It's not just me, it's also a team of people, and we are making a website called WhatCanIDoAboutIt.org. I just wanted to give a little bit of background as to why we're making this website. So I've been working as sort of sustainability coordinators in university for a while. And when I was doing it, there was like numerous problems, which I'm sure quite a lot of you will relate to. So the first off is picking a campaign. The climate crisis is so big, you're thinking, what on earth could I do? What could I possibly start that's going to have impact? So first is finding a campaign or an action. The next is sort of finding out your timeline, knowing should I go with the university or against the university and what should I do next? It takes a lot of like planning and you never know quite what's the right path. And then the last thing is the menial tasks like writing emails and the proposals and the drafts back and forth. And then each year it resets. You have to like reinvent the wheel as new people come in. And also talking about just in general climate organizations, there are so many, but they're all kind of fragmented and they don't interconnect. So I kind of wanted to make a website that addresses these issues. So the website, what can I do about it? The idea is if someone is thinking, what can I do about the climate crisis? They can go there and they can find a list of campaigns that are either ongoing or have been done in the past, and they can recreate them with support. So you're not kind of reinventing it. And then if you're doing a campaign, you can upload it to the website so that it doesn't just end in your country or in your university. It could be picked up by someone else, and or someone could join from the other side of the world, so the momentum can keep growing. So there are three basic goals to this. The first is to inspire people to start climate action. Again, what can I do about it? Maybe you can find an answer there and be inspired to pick something up. The next is to support people who are already doing the campaigns, because at times it's very lonely and all of the organizations are kind of fighting to get attention. And the last is to enable sharing of solutions. So if something works in one place, it doesn't just stop there, it keeps going. So how does it work? I think it's best if I actually show you. So now we'll see if I can switch and share my screen. So this is the website and it's kind of new. Oh, wait a second, let me get rid of that annoying cat. Okay, this is the website, and yes, it's kind of new, so it's not finished, but you can definitely see where we're going with it. So say you're thinking, what can I do? Oh no, what can I do about the climate crisis? You can find a campaign, and then here's a list of all the campaigns that we have on there at the moment. It's a mix of ongoing ones that you could join or past ones, or if you are not sure which ones you want to do, you can do a search. So for example, say I am a university student and I have only got 1 year in a role. You could find a campaign that takes a year. And then, so these two would be suitable. And if you then click on the campaign, you get information about what they've done, the goals, so you can really focus, descriptions, the comments, the things that they learned during the process, what went well, what didn't. Oh no. And at the bottom, critically, we want to get lots of links to like draft proposals that they did and the draft emails. So that way you don't have to reinvent something, and also contacts to their social media and emails, so we can all get interlinked. And then if you are already an organization, you can upload your campaign through this Google form. But we're hoping to streamline that, or maybe do it through interviews, so it's a little bit less studious and a bit more engaging. So if I stop sharing that now. Okay. And then lastly, how you can get involved. There's 3 main ways again. The first is follow our social media. And I really, really recommend you do this. Because first off, I think it's really funny. We've been trying to make it like comedic, because everyone is fed up with doom and gloom stuff. So we're making some sort of funny videos going, what can I do about stupid situations? And my friends are very bad at acting. But also in the future, we're going to have like campaigns of the month. So you can find out about new campaigns, kind of like this thing that we're doing now. And also I want to get some guest speakers. I have some cool contacts who are going to sort of talk about how to do effective campaigning. So that could hopefully boost your own organizations. So yes, and also competitions. So yes, definitely follow the social media, and I will post a link in a second. The next is get in contact if you would like to have your organization or your campaign or solution on the website, then I will give you a contact and you can just reach out. Or if you'd like to help join the team, that would be cool. But yeah, get in contact. And last is give us some feedback. So I thought perhaps next thing we could do is, as well as questions, we could talk a bit about whether you'd like to see your campaign or organization on it, but also what other campaigns and organizations you'd like to see on it, and maybe also what sort of how you'd like the website to look, if that's sort of something we're interested in. And I thought maybe we could do it as a whiteboard, so that way we could encourage people who don't like talking, but I'm open to anything. So let me share the links, and I guess while I'm doing that, does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I'm just wondering a bit like what kind of campaigns do you have on it now mostly? Is it mostly like local or national or also international?
Very good question. The goal is to have a really big range. So we're starting with ones that are as simple as getting more litter bins in your school, and then going all the way up to the international level. So then hopefully whoever you are, you could go to this website and find something that's useful for you. At the moment, I'm really focusing on sort of university kind of level things, because that's what I have experience with. But there is a range, and we want a big range.
Oh yeah, so do you have like something like a questionnaire that you can fill out with like details about your campaign, or is it just like all the campaigns just post something themselves and you post it on the website?
At the moment, it's this Google form, and you can find it through the website, which is WhatCanIDoAboutIt.org. It just says upload your campaign, and that's a Google form you can just do yourself, like a questionnaire. But it takes about 45 minutes, so it's a bit heavy. So if instead people would like to do like interviews or something a bit more relaxed like that, then we're going to move to that kind of system. And eventually it will kind of work a bit like Wikipedia, where people can upload and edit, but that's the future.
Oh yeah, cool, thanks.
Okay, any other questions? And by the way, thanks for this really awesome presentation. Seems like you put some love into that.
Thank you. Thought I'd try something new. Should we try a whiteboard? I don't know if that's something people might be interested in. Yeah,
Sounds good.
Okay.
Try it. I'm not sure how active all the participants are and how much the offer will be taken on, but
so if I do that, And then I'll also share screen. Can people then put in text? So if we have like, so campaign or solutions we'd like on it. And then you can sort of put, if you've got some solutions or campaigns you'd like, you could put them underneath. And then maybe some feedback on the website. Oh, feedback back. If anyone has anything.
I mean, maybe it's easiest if you just pop it in the chat if you have any troubles with Myra.
Yeah. This is just a trial, so if you don't think it. And I suppose while people are doing that, I'm going to plug the Instagram again, because yeah, I think it's really good. And that way, at the moment, the website is a little bit new, and so it's obviously not so useful until more campaigns get on there. But as it builds and builds, hopefully it'll get more and more useful. And the Instagram is very funny. So please, yeah, give that a follow. And the link's in the chat. So that's the thing. If you want to get involved with the website or support us, please follow the Instagram. Or TikTok. We have a TikTok, which is just the funny bits. Okay, so on the whiteboard, solutions we would like. Got some ethical and sustainable charities. That's actually really interesting because we are focusing on sustainable at the moment, but I would really like to also move to ethical as well, because they're so intersectional. And I suppose if that's what people really want to see, then we could focus on putting that on straight away rather than waiting a bit. The dates of the protests. And then we've got the exclamation mark. Okay, so we'll focus on making immediate stuff clearer. And petitions. That's interesting also, because sometimes I feel like my email is spammed with petitions, but if people are, we could have a petition section maybe.
Yeah, I wrote it down, but I think it's maybe something for later on if you want to focus more on, of course, the campaigns first. But I don't know if it's the same in every country, but I've noticed that in the Netherlands, sometimes signing petitions really works really well. But then you would need to like somehow maybe make a difference between the petitions that work well and the spam petitions. So that's maybe a whole different concept. But yeah, maybe something to think about in the future.
Yeah, that actually could be very interesting. Yeah, thank you. And then feedback on the website, more criterions like city in the topic. Yeah, we don't have that yet, so that's important. So list that put into paragraphs instead of separate lines. What bit do you mean by that? Don't know who wrote that one.
I did. I saw that in some descriptions it goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's clearly steps, but it's all put into one paragraph rather than
yeah, okay.
lines. And I think that's just some coding error somewhere or some text error.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll have to have a look through that. Thank you.
I mean, it's a really simple thing.
Okay, thank you. Are there any people involved in any organizations or campaign groups, or have even done something in their school, like primary school, who would like to share that campaign on the website? Maybe if you are, put it in the chat and I can contact you. I'll stop sharing the whiteboard now.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. Are there any last remarks, questions, actions you want to take based on what Saskia was sharing? I think it would be great if we could have also the campaigns that were presented now on there with maybe a little bit more kind of detail on how do you actually run it, or what things that maybe are not already on the SOS website, which would give more like a general introduction. Yeah, so it looks like our friends from the climate students movement didn't make it today, so I could give just a short presentation based on what I know about the campaign. I probably won't do it equally well as they would, but I'll give it a shot. So let me share my screen as well. So this is called the ActonYourClimateScience campaign, and this is run by the climate students movement. And so this is a campaign that is just getting rolling, and it's really has a global scope. And the aim is to get international and regional student organizations to join as sort of the main amplifiers of the campaign, but in the end to reach students at the local level in universities all around the world, basically. So it has quite a big ambition. And so SOS International and some other like regional or global student organizations are already partnering in this campaign. They already have some members, people joining from different parts of the world to help amplify the campaign in their particular countries. And the main strategy of the campaign is to develop a coalition with, as I said, international and national organizations, but then to focus on, at the national level, recruit what they call national campaign coordinators. So these are individuals or maybe groups, small groups of individuals students in a particular country who are then going to spread the campaign more specifically in their country and build networks, try to reach students, but maybe also university leaders and policymakers. And the goal being then to get higher education institutions to take action in line with science and equity. So this is really about getting universities to practice what they preach in terms of, they're teaching a lot about climate and science, but they're not maybe fully acting on that yet within their own organization in terms of the carbon use and the pollution that the universities as an organization are responsible for, as well as their education, of course, on the future generation. So to close this gap between what the science is telling us about the climate emergency and the action that universities are mostly not yet taken or not taking enough. So there's a few elements of the campaign that you can also be involved with shaping. There's teams for each of those elements. So one is the framework that they want university leaders to adopt. So basically, if you're a student at the local level trying to promote this campaign in your university, you would want to lobby for your university leaders to adopt a framework which is being developed by Climate Students Movement. That involves a one-year process where universities commit to initiate an inclusive dialogue with different stakeholder groups, especially students, to commit to climate education and science-based targets. So I think this is really what also makes this campaign more unique compared to, for instance, the Race to Zero, which is another global campaign about reducing carbon. But the targets here are really about making them science-based to reach the 1.5 degree target. And then to develop and commit to an action plan. And the actions that should be taken will also be developed in dialogue together with students, as well as a ranking. So similar to the campaign we heard earlier from Merit, this would be a ranking, but at an international level. And again, also student-led. So for students who want to sign up and be part of the campaign, become a national coordinator, they will also offer an academy. So to really support you in building your skills and competencies to better understand the campaign, understand climate science and the framework, of course, and how to actually do advocacy at the level of your university, but maybe also beyond that at a national level. And how you can really lead and manage a project, how you can get involved, get people involved, inspire them. And they're going to be also there to support you in each step of the way. So there's, as I said, different teams that you can sign up and to actually co-develop the shape of the campaign. So one is the academy in terms of content and the delivery of the academy that was there to skill up students who are national campaign coordinators, to help with the communication of the campaign, make it more widely visible, and to actually develop the ranking system. And I could imagine that maybe there's some synergies there with Studenten, voor Morgen and their national ranking system to see how can this be applied at the international level. And also they will run sort of what they call hackathons, so that basically students at a whole country level could explore what are good actions that their universities should be taking. So maybe there's also a nice synergy there with the What Can I Do About It project to have like a good library of impactful actions that students could promote and encourage the university to take. Yeah, so as I said, this is part of this climate students movement. They initially started in Sweden and now become an international group. And yeah, I think I won't say too much more about them now, besides that really the emphasis is on closing the gap between climate science and climate action at the level of higher education institutions and empowering students to make the universities commit to more ambitious action. Yeah, that's all from my side on that. I hope I did the campaign justice, and curious if you have any questions.
Can you just briefly describe the application process again? So do you apply as a team already or as an individual person, or how does it work?
You can apply as an individual to become a national campaign coordinator. And that means that you will help the campaign spread in your country. And then as an individual, one of the next steps, if you sign up as a national coordinator, would be to also form a team and maybe get some more people involved who want to commit to spreading this campaign. And then there will be like an official launch of the campaign. Not sure when that will be yet. I think they're still in the process of recruiting national coordinators. And once they have the national coordinators in place, they want to really launch it in a more public way. So then students who are not national coordinators, but just students at the local level and universities can say, hey, I want to be involved and support the campaign in my university.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Also just post a link here to how you can apply to become a national coordinator. And maybe Saskia or Merit, I mentioned some potential links here with the campaigns that you were presenting. What do you think about those potential links?
Yeah, I think one of my board members recently had a meeting with one of the people from this campaign. I don't know what it was about, but I think one of them like reached out to her on Instagram, like on our social media. So yeah, I think we're talking, so that's nice.
Yeah, and is anybody among you who think, oh yeah, maybe I could sign up as a national coordinator, or maybe you know somebody who would be a great person to encourage to do so? All right, well, I'll give you some time to think about it, and maybe you'll get inspired to do so later. Yeah, so we do have still half an hour on the scheduled time. I think we can also end earlier if there's not more questions or things you want to talk about. But I just wanted to open the space if there's any things that you still wanted to discuss, and anything that, questions you want to ask, or activities that you're currently involved in that you would like to highlight. Nobody? Then I guess we can wrap it up for today. I would be curious about your feedback on this call itself, because this is the first in a series. So we'll be organizing these solution dating calls every 2 months for, yeah, let's see how long, if it gains momentum, if this is going to be valuable and more people joining. So it'd be great if you could post in the chat or just tell me out loud, what do you think worked? What was, yeah, maybe inspiring particularly, or both in terms of the content of the session itself, but maybe also the promotion of it, and what could be improved. Maybe to me, yeah, how could we reach more people to join? How could the way that you can be inspired to learn and engage with campaigns, maybe there's another format that you think would work better. Yeah, so I'm just curious about your feedback. Just give you a minute to think about that. Feel free to just write in the chat, or if you have an idea, unmute yourself. Share your voice.
One thing I've been wondering about is with the advertisement. It's obviously quite hard to advertise things on Instagram, and I think you have Twitter as well, isn't it? Because it's only your followers who see. I was wondering if something, like Facebook, when you create an event, you can post it in various groups so you reach people who aren't your followers. If something like that might work better for reaching people who haven't heard about these kind of things.
Good point. Well, so far SOS doesn't have a Facebook site, so that might be something that we should set up in that case. Overall, did you feel this sort of structure worked, that we have like 20 minutes for 4 campaigns? And initially I thought we could do some breakouts, but then I think like this, it's...
Yeah, I think the structure worked fine. And I think the content was also really nice and lots of different kind of campaigns. So I think that's really interesting. But it's always sad that you can't really reach more people, because we shared it on our socials as well. But like Saskia said, like we don't have that many followers either. So it's always hard to attract people to things like this, because it could be way more impactful if there were more people.
No.
But yeah, I don't really know how to like advise you on improving that. So no help from me on that side, sorry.
Yeah, also giving you advice on how to increase media following when I'm trying to do exactly the same. So I don't really have the solutions either. But I think the time I spent on each was also very good.
Cool. And just in terms of timing, I would imagine that maybe, if we want to reach people in other parts of the world, maybe we want to do it a bit later or earlier. So I was thinking maybe the next one we could do a bit early in the day, just to make it more friendly for people in Asia who might want to join.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Yeah.
The whole discussion was incredible. Thanks for that comment, Kibet. If you want to say something that you found particularly inspiring, that would be awesome to hear. Otherwise, then I think we can leave it at that for today. I'm also just going to post the links to the social media of SOS, so you can be up to date with future events like this. And yes, I'll be sending a follow-up email and by next week at the latest. The next solution dating call will be on the 23rd of March. And I thought the focus there could be on student leadership models like the Green Office or sustainability weeks that really offer a concrete format where students can be empowered to take action in their university context. Yeah, and maybe one more thing I just wanted to highlight, that at SOS we're also working on another project together with UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, and SOS. And there we want to connect students with ministries to lobby for climate action in education, for climate education, basically. So this would be a really awesome opportunity for you, or maybe somebody who you know who would like to be active also at sort of a national level advocacy, and schedule meetings or reaching out to ministries of higher education. And so really to kind of also train that leadership skill of advocacy on a policy level, getting support from SOS and other members to do that. So yeah, you can sign up by the end of January, and we might be extending the deadline if we don't get enough registrations, but let's see for now. Yeah, so thanks so much for joining. I think that's all from our side today. I hope you had an enjoyable time with us. Hope to see you again next time. Goodbye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening or day, whatever it might be.